All right, so in this video, let's talk briefly about selecting an insurance company and a few factors that are relevant for that. So one of the first factors that would matter when you're selecting an insurance company would be the financial condition of the insurance company. And that's kind of easy to overlook, but it's important to look at. Now, this might matter a little bit more for certain types of policies than others. But in general, that's something that you should be looking at would be financial condition. So for instance, let's suppose you are buying a life insurance policy, and they're going to pay out $2 million in the event that you die within the insured period. Well, we kind of need to make sure they actually have the ability to pay that, right? So there are financial health ratings from ratings agencies that rate the different insurance companies. And so you want to start comparing those different insurance company ratings, their financial condition, and make sure that basically they look like they're in really good shape. So the higher the ratings, the better. And so you want to make sure that they're in good financial condition so that they are likely to be around to actually pay out on the policy if the event occurs. You also want to look at the cost of the policy, right? So a lot of the policies are relatively similar, but you do need to compare what the characteristics are. So if you're shopping for homeowners insurance, what are the coverages for all the different aspects of your property? One of them might cover slightly more for associated outbuildings like a shed or something. Another might cover less. Something might cover a little bit more for property. Others might, personal property like clothing. Another might cover less. So you have to compare some of those features. But then you also want to look at the cost of the policy. So keep in mind that just because one policy costs less, it may also cover less, right? So you have to look at sort of what the cost is relative to the coverages. Something that sort of follows along with that would also be the reputation of the company. So it's worth kind of investigating to find out if the company has a good reputation for being good to work with during that claims kind of process. Because heaven forbid you wind up dealing with a situation where your house burns to the ground and you're having to work with the insurance company. But if that's the case, you would prefer that they actually be good to work with and that they aren't fighting you over every nickel, right? So, what kind of reputation do they have? That would matter. So if they are just a tiny bit less expensive, but everybody's a little strong. But let's say a lot of people really hate working with them and it's a really miserable experience. Maybe a little bit more cost is worth it to go with a company that everybody feels like, or at least the large majority of people seem to feel like has really handled the claim situation very, very well. Now, something to keep in mind when looking at reviews is what's the quality of the source of the reviews, right? So where are the reviews coming from? Also, it's worth noting that relatively commonly, at least out on the internet and things like that, you're probably going to have people who are more invested in commenting about bad things that happened than about good things, right? So, for instance, if you have a good experience with the insurance company, you may just be happy you had a good experience and move on. But if you had a really bad experience, that's when people sometimes tend to go online and basically post about how bad it was, right? So keep that in mind, that there's a good chance that the people with bad outcomes are perhaps overrepresented in reviews and things like that. So sometimes you can look at third-party sources of reputation where they've actually surveyed a whole bunch of insurance policyholders to try to get a better sense of our insurance policyholders actually happy with it. Also make sure that you're aware of any kind of restrictions in place for the policies. If the insurance policies are particularly restrictive in some way, then that's something that might make that not as attractive to you, right? So you have to be kind of mindful of what kind of restrictions might be in place for the different kinds of policies and make sure that whatever those restrictions are acceptable to you and are not going to cause any trouble before you select that company. All right, thanks for watching and have a great day.